Conversations at Hotel Charlie.
No, I think it's casual, dude. It's no big deal. So what's up, everyone? This is Conversations at Hotel Charlie. If you aren't familiar with it, it's the I don't even know why I can't say it, but it's the Human Catalyst podcast. Basically, I created this podcast because I wanted an outlet for people to learn about people they might not otherwise take the time to get to know. A lot of these people that have come through Hotel Charlie, I've met them through having the brand, and they've all kind of like changed my life in some way or another. And the guest I have today has definitely done that. I've done a lot of events with him. He also has a clothing brand who just released his latest collection. He can tell you about that, but I believe I don't do collections, but I believe it's a spring summer.
Spring part two.
Spring part
summary.
two. And he has a pretty amazing clothing brand. He's got a pretty amazing work ethic. I love how he pays attention to detail and just all the stuff about it. I want to introduce you. Man, I'm having a tough day today. I don't know what's wrong with me. But this is Liam from Unidentified Corp. So what's up, Liam? Like, how was your day today?
My day was alright. It was kind of busy, but just mostly my regular job stuff, and then I had a pickup for some new unidentified drop.
Oh, nice. So you work a regular job as well as unidentified?
Yes.
Yeah. So how is that? Is it hard to juggle those both things?
It is, but I have a job that luckily is pretty flexible, and it's kind of like a as needed. There are some days where it's like I need you to be at work today, and I can work all my stuff around that. But if I need to take a day to take care of unidentified, I could do that.
Yeah, that's nice. That's real nice. One thing I want you guys to know about Liam is, for some reason, right, he's the only guest that's ever asked this. He wanted to do the entire episode in ASMR. And I was like, Liam, there's nobody that's going to want to watch this like while you do it in ASMR. And he said, no, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a hit. Yeah, see? So, I don't know. I don't think that's a good idea, though.
I don't think so either.
I don't know why you thought of it. But, no, that's super cool. Like, unidentified is definitely interesting. Like, I met Liam
2 years ago now.
Has it been 2 years?
2 years, yeah. I think I walked in here like July, late June of 2017.
Yeah, so you were on break from college, right?
Yeah.
And then where did you go to college at?
So I started college at Southwestern, and then I transferred to Cal State East Bay.
Oh, okay.
In Hayward, California.
Uh-huh. And then, yeah, like when you would come on breaks, you were from the area, from Chula Vista, California.
Yeah, I
You're a neighborhood
grew up
guy.
on First Avenue, so I'm a neighborhood guy. I used to come down to Third Avenue all the time.
Because I remember you like came in here and you're like kind of tripping out, like, what is that? Like, why is that here, you know?
Well, how I found out about this space is I was just driving down Third Avenue when I had came back from break, and I look up and I saw the Human Catalyst sign. I was like, and in my head I'm like, that's a clothing store. I'm gonna go see what's up with that.
Yeah, so he came in, he was kind of snobby, you know, like the Supreme kids that are like, oh, like what is this on? Gildan or something, you know, like trying to act all tough, and then like oh yeah, you resell this? And like, where's your Supreme section and all this stuff. He was kind of a jerk, you know, but like after a little bit of talking to him, I was like, oh, okay, he's a nice guy, you know. But
for the record, the first half of that story never happened. But
yeah, none of that ever happened. But I like to think that it did. Like, that's just that's what I like to do. But Yeah, one thing about Liam is like a lot of times he's from the area, so he'll come through the shop. We have these like crazy conversations. I would actually say like with Liam, this has been episode maybe like 55. You know,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is like no different than
Just a normal Saturday.
yeah. Like I always pick his brain. Um, so like just from another clothing brand, like when I see yours, you know, I really give it up to you for the amount of um, like meticulous things that you do with unidentified. You know, well, actually, I guess I can get into that. Um, Let me give you a chance to like let people know about what Unidentified Corp is. You know, so
Okay.
your clothing brand, right?
Yes. So Unidentified Corp came about. Actually, I probably started like brainstorming in the summer of 2014, and that was before it really had a name. It was just like I want to do clothes. I'm set the idea. I'm gonna start designing, and I mean I knew like I was a fan of like streetwear in general, but I knew I needed a lot of time to study on how to the like making of clothing
Mhm.
side. So I took from about the time I committed to doing it in my head till the first shirt released, it was probably about 8 months almost. It was like June, July 2014 of like brainstorming until like March of 2015.
Mhm.
So I took a lot of time to study how to make clothes and just the name Unidentified Corporation. I always knew I wanted to do something like big and kind of have like an umbrella, but then what I think a good way to describe it is like Unidentified Corporation is kind of like when you say the word they, when you're like referring to like influence and power, like the government, like that's to me almost like represented by like an unidentified corporation, and I almost use it ironically in a sense, like of a big, powerful, influential
Like you are the
group,
man.
kind
Kinda?
of
Yeah.
in a sense.
Yeah.
I think that like explaining the meaning of the brand was always something that it was kind of hard for me to do because I knew it was so like multi layered, but I think when I thought of like it's kind of like when you say they, I think
Mhm.
that really is a simplified way of saying it. But then I also use like um, I flip like corporate branding, and I kind of present myself like very professionally, like it's very like I don't want to say like calculated, but it's presented very professionally corporate, and
Yeah,
but it's kind
definitely.
of ironic in that
Definitely.
sense.
Um, I guess like I'm gonna have pictures of your stuff too, like at least on Instagram. I'm not really tech savvy. Where, well, I guess I could throw them up in the podcast, but that's kind of weird. I've never done that.
Hmm.
But I'll have links to your stuff um, down below. That's how they do it in YouTube Land. Like
Uh,
it's like links down below.
uh,
Like with it, hit that button or I don't know.
yeah,
Like
I actually have on my website a full archive of almost everything I've ever made. So if you
oh
want to go
nice.
back, like on my website, you click archive and it kind of has like from like 2015 till now
Oh nice.
of all the items I've done to kind of like
Get a
give
feel.
people a complete feel of the brand.
Yeah, I mean, I would say from what I've seen with unidentified, you're very. I think you know your brand pretty well, where you don't stray off. You know,
Yeah.
and I don't know if it's like this for you. For me, as a designer, I'm constantly seeing new designs, new people's work, um, new trends that you notice, and you know, it's like it's hard to stay with what you're doing and not like hop on the wave, you know what I mean? And
Mm.
like go down that route. But for you, I think that like all of your stuff for some reason looks like unidentified. I pretty much know like, oh man, that's an unidentified shirt, you know?
Yeah. I mean, for me, like, I'm somewhat aware of trends, but I try to, like, if I see a trend, I'll try to, like, almost like go back and find inspiration to almost like not make or make it look like almost like the worst version, or like the least trendy version of something that's trendy. But I don't know if that's a good way of describing it. But like, I'm aware of trends, and like, you can somewhat see that in like the color palette I've used throughout the years, or like this collection I did a vest. I know vests are kind of on trend now, so I like kind of included one of those. But I definitely try to mix in a lot of things that either I feel need to be brought back, or just unique silhouettes that I think maybe other smaller brands aren't doing.
Um, that's kind of interesting too, because one thing about you is like, do you consider yourself a small brand? I guess in the grand scheme of things, right?
I
Like,
do, yeah.
You know, I'm pretty sure like everyone out there is aware. There's brands that are super big, like Supremes, and there's a lot of ground level brands, like myself included, where I don't really know where we fit in the picture, but there's a lot of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but I would say, yeah, like with your stuff, it kind of seems as though you're navigating like with blinders on. Not that you're not aware of like what's going on, but you stay on focus with what you're doing, and I think that's one of the things that makes Unidentified so special, because there's, especially in these ground level brands, there's so many of us that just look like carbon copies of the bigger brands. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and at least for me, like, I think if you look at bigger brands, like, you can see my influence by like bigger brands or bigger artists. But I think also too, when I started the brand, almost had like a 25 year plan of where I wanted it to be. Like, I almost, and like, I think our conversations with you, I kind of present the brand more as like a living, breathing art project that when you look at it, when you take a step back and look at the full context, it can really make sense.
Yeah.
Almost more than if just looking at a single item.
Yeah, like one thing we were talking about, I always talk to you about fabrics and things like that, and you were telling me that you kind of believe that, well, what Unidentified is you're selling art, and
Yeah.
and the shirts and the sweatshirts, all this stuff is just the medium that the art is put onto. And you also work with a lot of fine artists too, as
Yeah.
well. And one thing I want to give it up to you for is that you're willing to work with artists out and about. You know, like someone that we had on the show was Ethos One, and Ethos did some logo design for you, and that was really dope. But also dope that you're willing to give these people an opportunity. You know, at least not saying that like you make them or break them, but
Yeah.
like you provide opportunities for these artists that not a lot of people do.
Well, I don't, like, for me, almost every artist I've worked with, I've kind of felt lucky that they would trust me to work with them in that sense. Like, I always felt like I've done, I don't know the number off the top of my head, but a few, probably like 6, 7 artist collabs, and it's like, for a few people, it was like the first time their art appeared on clothes. For other people, they had done clothes before, but like, to me, working with those people is always cool to see that they trusted their work with me, and that it would fit in the context of the brand, and like that. I think as an artist, at least for me, I'm very selective, so I'd have to imagine a lot of other people are very selective, and a lot of other people, I worked with a lot of artists that are bigger than me, so they are able to work with this smaller brand and and attach their brand to it and have confidence that it's gonna do well or last, or that they trust me with their work.
Yeah, and I think that's easy to say though. Like, you know, as an artist, I mean, the way that you've presented Unidentified, um, and like you said, like you do everything the best you can as far as like professionally and like a corporation. So when I look at Unidentified, when you look at all the pieces of it, the photography's done really well. Everything's done really well. Your last lookbook was, well, the last few lookbooks have been like really good, you know?
Yeah, those are the only I mean, those last three were like the first, I would say, like professional lookbooks that I've done. Before that, like it was like me and a friend in like his backyard, or like just me shooting photos on like a shitty camera.
Yeah.
And then I took like a 2-year absence of just doing lookbooks, where I'd only upload product shots, just because I knew I couldn't get it right myself. Like I would not say I'm a photographer, and I didn't want to put something out that what I didn't feel was right. So I took a 2-year, like, where I just didn't shoot lookbooks, only product shots. And then last fall, when I did the shoot with Malik and my friend Sam and AJ, like that was like a time where it's like, okay, it's time for me to step my game up and shoot a professional lookbook. So those, like, I did that one, and then I even took like my next collection off. I didn't do a lookbook, and then I did the one we shot here. And then now going forward, I'm planning on, for the most part, having more professional shoots.
Yeah, it's crazy that, like, for example, for HC, I've done one lookbook when I first started, and I think that, well, I didn't make another lookbook after, and I'm finally realizing I probably should.
It's, for me, part of it was like I was reaching out to blogs, and they would always say, we like your stuff, we just need modeled shots.
Yeah.
And for me, like, I know that, like, at the end of the day, like, it doesn't, like, it's kind of, internet stuff is internet, but like for me, it's like, and the blogs aren't like what they were maybe 10 years ago, but like to me it still means something. Like when I get posts on like Casual Fridays, or like Stay Grounded, or something like that, like it's just nice to have like that type of validation from people that I respect.
Yeah, and those are people that are like you all over the United States, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, for example, like those streetwear sites or blogs, and Instagrams and things like that, they have people following from different countries.
Yeah.
And where else, like, before could you even connect with people from like Norway, Sweden, or New York, Florida, being a kid from Chula Vista? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was hard.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
And I definitely see that you have some respect on there, in the World Wide Web. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's also, I think, because you do such a good job. You know what I mean? So you should definitely be proud of that. But yeah, lookbooks are crazy. For me, I was scared. I don't know if it's because, like,
they're intimidating in general.
They are, but also because I was Asian, and realistically, most of the people that I know are Asian. I know a few Caucasians, but yeah, that's just like the reality. So the people that I can ask, like, hey, would you do this or whatever? And a lot of them don't want to be shot and all this stuff. I'm from a little bit of an older generation where, like, the younger people are like, take pictures of me all day, like, all day. I'm like, I don't know what Liam just did. He like dropped some.
I didn't drop any
BBs or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But yeah, as far as like for me, I was always scared if I show a bunch of Asians, then it's just an Asian brand, And then so my first lookbook, I deliberately found a white guy because I didn't want to be pigeonholed as like just an Asian brand.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I'm just a fan of streetwear, and streetwear comes in all different colors and sizes and shapes. I think it's because I have skateboarding roots.
Yeah.
I mess around, like probably a lot of it's not politically correct. Like I'm just kind of stupid, you know what I mean? But you know, like I just didn't want to be like an Asian brand the same way that people are like a fixed up Honda is a Asian guy car. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I just didn't want to fit in that mold. I wanted to make stuff that a lot of people could enjoy. But the way it is, there's a lot of Asians that support my stuff. So
I mean, there's a lot
you know.
of Asians that just support streetwear
Streetwear.
in general.
That is
That's
true too.
Honestly, probably the hugest market.
That
If you
is
want
true.
to, like, I mean, even just like numbers wise of like just
Yeah.
in China, there's
Because
obviously a lot
every
of
single
people
Asian
that
country
in like
has a
Japan.
scene.
Yeah.
Versus like you could say Europe or whatever, their scenes aren't as big as like Asia. Like Hong Kong has a crazy scene, China,
Yeah.
Singapore, Indonesia, whatever.
Oh, and yeah.
Malaysia, like it's crazy.
Yeah, they're super appreciative
Yeah,
of it.
definitely.
But,
Um, so like with you and your brand, like was it hard to start it or like to build the courage to do it?
I don't think it was like the build the courage to do it. Like, I think I remember like one of the first, like, cause I didn't tell anybody that I was doing it, cause I hate like I don't like it's like there's so many people like I don't like being a person that's like I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, and it
That's like
never
striking silence.
happens.
Like yeah, like
But so like I didn't tell anybody that I was gonna do the brand, and I remember like the first people I told, and we were at a party. Like I brought some shirts for like my two best friends, and it was one of my friend's ex girlfriend now, but girlfriend at the time, and I was like, here's shirts. Like I'm doing this brand. Like this is something I've been working on for so long, and I'm ready to like I guess show the world, and you guys are my good friends, so let's just kind of do it, And I probably gave some kind of like drunk inspirational speech, but like, and that was when I was like 19. But for me, I just because if I started it, I knew I was gonna like push it,
yeah.
And I mean here I am 4 years later, still going, and luckily still growing. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's been slow. Like I'm not gonna deny that. Like I'm not the biggest brand by any means, but like I
Well,
just it's like I've sold clothes all over the world, like all over the U.S. and like it's been nice to know. Like when I started the brand, I didn't know about design at all, but I knew that I could do what I'm doing now. Like I always knew that I could do it. I just also understood it would take time
yeah.
because I was starting from square one.
That's interesting you say like take time. Were you surprised about how much time that it takes? I mean, a lot of people though, do you ever get that where it's like, oh, I'm gonna start a brand and they have these expectations it's gonna be really quick?
Oh yeah, no, I I know that that's a common thought process, but that was never
Yours.
my thought process. Like I said, like I always knew like I wanted to be like a 20-25 year before you could really look back and determine.
So you have a long ways to go
Yeah,
before you're
but
looking back.
yeah, and I mean, it's one of those like numbers, I guess you could say like, will I get there? I don't know, because obviously comes a there comes a point of like, okay, you're not growing anymore. I'm still growing, so I can still keep going, but obviously, like any business, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But that has always been my hope, is to kind of be able to have a brand and hopefully have that type of longevity, because that's something that like is important to me, is having longevity and not like
Fast
like a
fashion.
couple hot years, even, you know.
Yeah.
Like
So
in terms of speed, like I think, and I really learned this the more I kept going, was that there's so many big brands that you'll see that it's like, oh, they started out, they're only a year old, or they're only 2 years old, and they're in all these stores, and they have 200,000 Instagram followers, and they're like, all the celebrities are wearing them. And then if you're like you, that's a small brand, and you're like, oh, it's been 3 months and I'm not huge, like what's going
like
on?
comparing yourself to that.
Comparing yourself to that. But like I think the longer I've been doing my brand, it's like the more you can recognize is that the people that have those brands that get hot in 2 years have been in the game for 10 years.
Yeah, you
already.
start being able to kind of see through
Yeah.
the smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, like not to say that there isn't like authentic brands, or like someone who's legitimately just started out and then in 2 years is huge, but I would say for the most part, like a lot of the brands are being started by someone who's knows what they're
Some
doing.
kind of connection, or
Connection, or just like they,
at least an understanding of how it works.
yeah, because it's like if I were to start a new brand today, like I would already have 4 years of cheat codes, and like 4 years of like just knowing what goes on, what to do, how to do it, a better understanding of design, a better understanding of how things get printed, methods, like connections and all that.
That's a great example, because when I first started Human Catalyst, I didn't I didn't know, and to be honest, I did a lot of stuff for other people's brands, and I really wanted to be a part of their brand. Do you know what I mean? But the reality of it is there's just not enough money for, like, as a small brand, to really bring people on to be like on the adventure.
Yeah.
So all of you guys out there that are a group of buddies and you're starting this brand and you're gonna keep it going, well, like, try to remain friends once money starts coming in, because it's hard to divide like little pieces of pizza. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, I've never had like a partner. I've never had any like outside like, it's, I don't know how. I don't think, me personally, I don't know if I could do like a brand
Like, it's tricky,
with,
right? Unless
with another person.
I think that you need to have a really good relationship,
Yeah.
but you also need to have a real good understanding of this thing's gonna take a long time. I think a lot of times, like, especially with the shop, a lot of people come through here. I get a lot of DMs like, "Hey, I'm starting this brand. Can you give me some advice?" And I always say, like, this is gonna take a long time. I think that I always tell them too, like, you're gonna have, like, you can come out with like 20 different designs, but if there's no brand to associate with those, like, no one's really gonna care.
Yeah.
I would kind of just come out with one banger and just push that, honestly, for like 2 years, because every time, like, I'm sure even with your brand, there's still people that come across it now and they've never seen it.
Yeah.
Hopefully some people out there in
That are listening. Yeah.
YouTube land or Spotify land, whatever, that they're not familiar with Unidentified, and this is the first time that they're gonna come across it. So, like, and you're saying you've been doing it for 4 years, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
there's gonna be someone out there that this is the first time they've seen it in those 4 years. But you're like, where were you 4 years ago? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just doesn't work that way. So, like, anyone out there, I'm sure there's people, I'm gonna tell people that are into this kind of stuff to watch this one especially. But do you have any advice for them? Like those guys out there that are trying to start a brand. Well, okay, let me backtrack a little bit. I kind of feel, this is like some new thought I have too, that I feel that with people, they enjoy being a part of the unidentified corporation. Do you have like a name for people that are just really down for the unidentified corporation?
Honestly, I don't. I don't have a name. I haven't.
Do you know what I'm
thought of
talking
one.
about?
Yeah.
Like believers.
Yeah. No,
You know?
I don't have anything like that. I would like at least I would just say supporters or
Yeah.
people that support me. Like they're a huge supporter of the brand.
See, because I've noticed that like I think people would really like to partake in the adventure.
Yeah.
They want to be a part of it.
They want to be like on the team.
They want to be on the team, and I don't think it's necessarily financial. I used to think differently, that it was all financial and like back off, bro, because don't try to get in my pockets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think people genuinely just want to see you win, and
I
they
think they
also
do
like
too, yeah.
they also just want to support what you're doing, and they think it's dope. Like, but they want to be a part of it, but they don't know how to be a part of it. So it's kind of like there's like in music, it's real easy. They have fans.
Yeah, but I think honestly, well, I guess to go back, if you want to do advice, my advice to people starting out brands would be just do it because you love it. Like that's kind of what I tell everybody that reaches out to me. Just start the brand because you love it, like not because you think you're gonna make a lot of money or you're gonna be like cool. I mean, because we're at the point where so many people have brands. Like, there's just having a brand doesn't distinguish you.
It's actually not
from
cool.
anybody.
Yeah, like having a brand is actually not cool until you make it cool somehow.
Yes.
And that's gonna take some time.
Yes.
Like, people always trip out. Like you're different than me. I wear HC every day. The only time I don't is when it's just not appropriate, like funerals, bar mitzvahs. You know what I mean? I don't go to many bar mitzvahs, but if I did, I probably wouldn't wear HC. But I always wear it because I figure like if I don't, who is? You know what I mean? And I figure like I hope someone sees it. I don't know. That's just like in my head. That's just like the way I work. But you, my friend, are very unidentified. No one would have any idea that you are Unidentified Corp.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of like to remain, I guess, like behind the scenes, and that's kind of just always how I've been. I'm quiet, like I observe, I listen to everything, and I just try to be behind the scenes. And ultimately, I think too is like I don't want people to like the brand because it's me. Like I want them to like the brand because they like the brand.
Yeah, that's a great.
And that's always been an important thing and something that I really really strived is like it's not about me, it's about like here's the art. I usually don't explain things like on Instagram. I like people to see it and have their own interpretation of it, and I like to just say here's the art, it is what it is, how do you perceive it, and I
that's
if
like
you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't.
To me, that's the old school streetwear mentality.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way, but like that's what made me fall in love with streetwear, the not knowing, like seeing something and like what is that, and then solving the puzzle and being like, oh, like that's a flip of this record from 1987, or that's a lyric from some obscure rap album, or just something that like you can solve the puzzle and know.
Yeah, and that's how a lot of my graphics are.
Yeah, like you're very your style and the way you operate is very reminiscent to like what the original, I guess, forefathers of streetwear, like those were kind of like that's kind of how they operated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where there was a shift in time where like it became about being a maker. You know, I'm a cobbler who makes these leather shoes in my
Yeah.
garage, you know, and you see the video of like hand stitching and all this amazing stuff, and you know, so that's kind of like an old school way where it's not this like story about whatever. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's the concept that I had too, like especially with the store. I mean, so many people walk by and like, what the hell is that? What's Hickada list? Or some guy yelled at me because he said I was a Nazi and I had a sign that said Holocaust.
Oh God.
And I was like, that's not what it says. like, you know, that's just ridiculous. But yeah, so many people walk by and like, what is that? Especially in a place like we're in now.
Yeah.
And to me, I was always like a fan of that. I wanted to even make this look like a taco shop or something, and not even have tacos, or like a pizza shop. To me, that's cool.
Yeah.
But my wife kind of says like, yeah, that doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like people won't come. And
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's how you found out about the store. I just saw the sign. I was like, "That's it."
yeah, like it's already weird enough that it's here.
Yeah.
So like I don't need to make it even more weird. You know
Yeah,
what I
you
mean?
have to be the right amount
Of
of
weird.
accessible. I
Yeah.
feel like.
Yeah.
And that's the balance where, like, you have to kind of, and it's the tough balance, and it depends on your personal goals, and not saying like you, but just in general. It's like, do you want to be like the super artsy brand that sells one shirt, or do you want to be the super mainstream brand that sells a million shirts? And then you have to figure out what you want to do and where you fit into that mold.
Which is tough because it's like there are like that's how wide the market is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's like the guy that's super cool who sells one $400 hand printed T-shirt a month.
Yeah.
You know, and there's the people that sell $10 T-shirts, a million of them with a Facebook ad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. Oh, so one thing that I was saying is like the reason I was talking about like being fans and stuff,
Yeah.
because for me, like I was thinking a lot of the reason why I started a brand is because like I really wanted to be a part of a brand. And you know, I don't really want to get into that, but I got a chance to work for my dream brand. Like someone that I looked up to as a designer, as a clothing brand, like definitely inspired me to like, that's what I want to do. And I got a chance to work there. It didn't really work out the way that I envisioned. It might be because I had all this preconceived vision of like how it would be, and it just wasn't that. But like, did you have any like, did you start Unidentified because of another brand? Like you saw it and you wanted to join it or be a part of it, or was it just like I can't, like that's kind of impossible, so I'm gonna make my own?
No, I honestly, like, at the time I was like kind of, I guess I was inspired by streetwear, but it wasn't about like any brand. It was just like I personally felt like, and I'm gonna sound like egotistical, but it's like I personally felt I have something that I could add to this game, and I also felt that I wanted to use my voice, but that a brand would be the best way to do that. Like, I'm not the person that would be like always tweeting like to get my message across. Would be like, I'm gonna make this shirt and it's gonna say this and
So
do the talking for me, I guess.
so you had it, so yours is really like an artistic outlet, things you wanted to say through,
I guess, yeah, an artistic expression.
which is very much like streetwear, right? Like kind of like um
I think at its core,
like
I guess.
skateboarding, like skate or die, you know,
Yeah.
like skateboarding's not a crime, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
No, that's really cool. I mean, I guess for me it's a little different, just with the amount of like, I guess the inspiration for everything. You know what I mean? I did have stuff I wanted to say, but I come from a time when a lot of streetwear just said nonsense, like cool jokes to them,
Yeah.
but it alienated people that didn't understand. You know, it's kind of like it's kind of like if you had a brand called like the joke's on you, bitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's another name for it.
Yeah.
So you have all these people like, oh, I don't even get it, but I'm gonna wear it. You know?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I was like, that's kind of the era I come from, where you had to be in the know and all that. So now, as I'm like in Human Catalyst and like, well, I'm sure people heard this too. When I first started Human Catalyst, I just chose words. I didn't even have a name, like, you know how you said Unidentified Corporation, whatever. For me, I didn't even know what the hell a Human Catalyst was. I had zero clue. And I don't even think I fully understood until I had the store of what exactly it means to me. But like it's changed over time.
That's, I mean, for me, I can definitely relate to that. Like, I think when I chose that name, it was just like, this just feels right.
Yeah.
And just everything in terms of like design, but like just a lot. It's like it's kind of based on like feeling, and like there's designs I'll have that it'll be like, I designed this a year ago, but now's not the time, or I just feel this has to come out right now, you know, or I just felt this graphic, this color, like, and it's very much like down to the last second of taking things, or like when I go get shirts or whatever, I'll be like, I'll plan like one shirt and then I'll get down to the shirt shop and change my mind on the color.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's so like with the name, it was just like, this just feels right, and then over time it made more sense, and I think where I'm at now, it's like it makes some most sense than makes more sense than it's ever made if you really look at my entire catalog of almost 200 items.
No, definitely. I think I would definitely say that it's exactly like what you said. Like you do treat it like a corporation, and I've never heard that part where it's like kind of ironic. You know what I mean? Like we're like a corporation, but we're like an unidentified corporation. Like,
But yeah, but then we also have like the like almost like anti-corporate and like more like punk rock values
yeah.
in that sense.
One thing that was funny is like on your Instagram, you have some line on there. What does that say?
It says winning hearts and minds since 2015.
So like, what is that about?
I think honestly, it's I think I heard it in one of my classes at East Bay.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a military slogan of like winning hearts and minds, like is what they like the military was doing when they were like going to like Vietnam, I think. Like Vietnam is like, we're winning hearts and minds, you know.
I don't know if they did a good job at that, but yeah.
like and I think that's where it originated. I just heard it in my class and I thought it was kind of funny and almost ironic in that sense, because it was, I'm pretty sure, officially used
by the military,
by like the military and the government, and even though it's like the opposite of what they're doing, so I thought it was funny, and
I saw that tagline and then I started laughing, you know. You do a lot of stuff that trips me out and I'll laugh, you know. So like, what are the, like, as far as you and yourself, aside from streetwear and everything, like, what are some of the things that you're into? Besides balls.
Well, I come from a huge baseball background. I played baseball.
That's what I meant.
Pretty much my whole life, and I mean, I wasn't very good at Southwestern, but I played at Southwestern College.
Oh, you played like?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I was pretty good in high school, and then I got to Southwestern, kind of sucked. But I mean, I made it to that level.
To that level. Did you play all the way from like T-ball?
Yeah.
Oh, really? And then what position is that?
I mean,
I don't know sports, dude.
Okay.
So like,
I mean, up until college, I pretty much played everything. Like I played every position in baseball, and then like high school, I was more like first base, pitching, and right field, and then college was pitching only.
Then do you still play like baseball?
I don't know.
It's kind of hard, huh? To
For me, it was just like
you don't like pick up games, right? Like
well, there's adult baseball, but for me, it's just I can't compete at the level that I would like to be at.
So don't do it.
So I'm just not gonna do it. And it's like I've done it enough. And I mean, I'm still very involved in baseball. I have a few friends that play professionally, and like I keep up on all their stats. Like I check my friends' stats like every day, and
they play
it's like-
professionally?
yeah.
Dang. You should get some investors in Unidentified Corp. That baseball money. Unidentified gloves, chewing tobacco, all sorts of stuff.
Chewing tobacco.
Yeah, isn't that what you guys do? Big league chew? Like
some guys chew tobacco. I mean, I've done it a couple times, and the dip made me throw up one time, but it's just not. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think a
it's
lot
not
of
it.
guys do it to, like, because they feel cool.
it's kind of like golfers and cigars.
I guess, but I mean, like, I don't know. I could see maybe if you're like a pro pitcher and you're like doing it to kind of like relax you or like get a little bit amped up, but I mean.
Well,
the
now they
times
have
I've-
vape. Now they should just like vape, you know?
I mean, I just think it's a baseball. It's like one of those. It's like a tradition that just hasn't really gone away.
Hot dogs and tobacco.
Yeah.
Hot dogs, peanuts,
Yeah,
Cracker
it's like,
Jacks,
exactly.
tobacco.
Yeah.
So then, like, what other stuff are you into? I know that, like, you know, you come in here, but really, you're out getting a sandwich.
Yes.
Like, you're like a sandwich guy, huh? Like,
Somewhat. The shout out to Grindhouse. I think they have an amazing Cuban sandwich.
and you're number one chef there.
Shout out to Jerusalem.
Yeah, shout out Jerusalem, the number one chef in town. Yeah, so like.
But I mean, honestly though, like, it's I feel like I'm kind of different in the sense like where I do like I spend a lot of time on like my art, and then I'm at work sometimes, but then a lot of my closest friends, like, they're not necessarily like into that. So like I kind of have like my art friends, but then it's like when I'm hanging out with my other friends, it's like, you know, I've grown up with them and they're more
Yeah.
like sports or like we're just hanging out. It's not like
You're like unidentified. You're like.
like I just try to be a normal person, you know, like, and going back to that,
Yeah.
like there's people now that are like kind of celebrities for like making stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's not me or like what I want to be. It's like I just want to be a normal person, you know.
That's why you asked me to censor out your face and everything.
No.
I don't have that kind of technology to voice change you and everything.
I'm not that crazy, but it's just on.
You're
I
not
wanna say
about
keep
you're not
them,
about
like,
the shine.
separated.
Yeah, like you
but-
want the clothes to shine, not necessarily for you to shine.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool because you're the first guest to come on here that is from the same world as me, and it just shows like you always say that very well that it's funny how we all operate differently in the world of streetwear, and you were saying streetwear isn't the same as or what did you say the
It's the word streetwear has lost its meaning, and I think one of the better like quotes on that is Virgil. He's like the word streetwear is like the word disco,
Oh yeah.
and I thought that was a good way of like just putting it in general.
I totally agree with that.
But at the same time, I just think people don't take the time to go back and understand go back and understand and do their research. So there's surface level, and then also like there's that divide. I mean it probably happened earlier, but probably like '08, where there was like the corporate push for a more like street and like urban image, and they like, I mean, with like Nike SB and like Vans were kind of working with smaller artists, and
yeah.
so they
Well,
were
corporate money comes in and kind of like,
and then kind of
I
like,
don't know
I
what
guess
you
you'd say,
call it.
ruins it. I mean, I
Take
think
some of
that's
the
fair.
luster. Yeah.
They just water it down.
Do you watch a lot of music videos?
Honestly, not really. No.
Well, again, that shows I'm old. Like, all we had was music videos. Like, we didn't have Instagram, stuff like that. But music videos, when they first dropped, like, when it was their first album, they always had these like grimy, low budget videos, and I thought they were so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And then they come back on their second album, once they have corporate money, now they have like flashy fire effects and explosions and stuff. It's like dude, that's not even street anymore, you know? To me, like, I think that's kind of whack. Like, I do think it's awesome when people make it.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, it's really cool when people can make it and still be street. Like a good example, I think, is like Palace. Palace is kind of big, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like, you know, when they built their new store in LA, it's like looks like a palace.
Yeah.
And it's like that's pretty cool to do it that way. Like it's real tacky, and you know what I mean? Like that's street. That's
Yeah.
streetwear. Like, so I give it up to that, like that kind of thing. That kind of, to me, that's like a cool logic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just sad when like cool brands get tainted by money. It's kind of like if what, like, this isn't streetwear, but it's kind of like that Gucci Fiat. Have you ever seen that? You know, Gucci, the clothing.
Yeah.
And then there's a car Fiat, and they collabed, and it's like now you have Fiats with this big Gucci stripe. And to me, like, that's just stupid, you know? Like, that's not that they're streetwear, but that's not luxury either. So like, as far as like streetwear losing the meaning, what do you think? Do you have any other definition of it? Like, if you could, I would say, like, if I could define your type of streetwear, I would say it's like based on classic 90s, early
I would say
zero
like, yeah, like
streetwear.
yeah.
Like
I
the
guess you'd
mentality
say, like,
before.
core.
Yeah, core streetwear.
Um,
You don't have to break down, like, you don't have to get all punk rock
I'm clumsy.
and beat up my stuff,
But I mean, it's just, you know, I think for the past few years, people have been like, it's been that the conversation we're having has been a constant conversation that I think it's kind of like there's no end to it, and it's kind of up to interpretation. Like, it's like kind of like with music, like everything, like,
yeah, like what's
it starts
hip-hop
out very core, and then it's like what does it evolve into?
But
It's
see,
like,
there's names for it, like backpack rap or underground rap or mumble rap. Do you know what I mean? You have these
Yeah.
subgenres.
Yeah, but
Like,
that's
all I'm
still-
trying to look for is a hashtag. Basically, like, I'm in search for a hashtag, because when I look up the hashtag streetwear, I'm like, what the hell is that? Like, to me, that's not really streetwear. At least in my mind, you know, that's not what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
You know, and I guess, like, I've never heard another term for what this is.
I think Bobby Hundreds made a good point about that. It's like streetwear is an attitude more than an aesthetic.
Yeah, I see that, but it's also
Like-
lost the attitude. Maybe that's flipped, because like coming from the hundreds, right? Like the hundreds, like specifically, you know, they were talking about a message being delivered by the hundreds, right?
Yeah.
And you know, now they're like thousands, 100,000s.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy, but I think they still can design based on the concepts that they grew up on, like that core street mentality.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that didn't know that core, and they're not familiar with it, so they're basing it off the aesthetic more than the attitude.
Yeah, but I mean, I think those people are just following trends, and now we got to the point where
It's just so big.
It's just so big, and who knows? And then now it's just like everything, like so. It's just that's just going to be the word.
Have you seen the book Blink, or I think it was Blink or Tipping Point, one of those, Malcolm Gladwell, but he talks about how like there's early adopters, and then from those early adopters there's like I don't know the correct name, but I want to say lemmings. Like once
And the lemmings are the ones that make the money.
The lemmings are the ones that make the money. The early adopters are what makes it cool.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe like streetwear, once you become the cash butterfly, you know what I mean? Like you've already gone through the early adopters, and that's like the cocoon part, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You were cool when you were a caterpillar, and then you transitioned into this like whatever, but now you can retire from the streetwear grind. You know what I mean? But I always look at those brands, like I give them credit, like I don't know how they did it. Like it's amazing to go from like being a streetwear brand like everyone is that I come across, that we're just making t-shirts, we're designing them, screen printing them, whatever, and then you're talking about having containers come in of your stuff and like ordering hats, like 500 hats, and it's like 500 hats, you have 500 heads to put those on? Like it's just a crazy concept. So I don't know, like I hope in your 20-year plan, 20 to 25 years,
that I can get those 500 heads.
No, I don't know. I mean, I hope that like you reach your goals, whatever you want to reach. I know for me, like, there's just something in me that wants to do this.
Yeah,
it's the hardest thing.
Way. Yeah.
It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I've always been behind the monitor, so to like talk to people and all that stuff. To do this podcast, definitely one of the hardest things. But there's just something about, the attitude of streetwear and what I appreciate, So I don't know, like we've talked everyone's ears off of streetwear, but is there anything you want to close out with or anything? How can they find you?
You can find me. My website is www.unidentifiedcorp.com. My Instagram is @unidentifiedcorp. Twitter is UNIDCORP.
Are you on Twitter a lot?
A little bit. I mean.
Yeah.
Not really, but I mean, I have a Twitter account.
Yeah. So are you working on anything new, like coming up, or?
Yes.
Anything people should look at prior?
So I just dropped my spring 2019 Part 2 collection, and that was 18-piece collection. It had a denim jacket, a vest. I worked with Ethos One. I worked with I'm gonna not pronounce her. Lumia Nocito out of New York. She's a photographer, but she did the art for our Mafia Baby tee. I think I did like 8 or 9 t-shirts in the collection. I did cargo pants. I did a hat, and I did Titleist golf balls. So that's my most recent collection. It dropped in May. I'm also working on a smaller summer drop. I just picked up some stuff from the print shop today. You can also check out my stuff at the Rerun in Plaza Bonita. I mean, they've been an amazing support system, so I want to say shout out to them and anybody that purchases stuff there. And
that was a low blow because I don't carry your stuff here, huh?
No, you don't.
Yeah, that was kind of hurtful. Like, he basically, that was really hurtful. I don't even know what to say. No, I'm just joking. Shout out the Rerun. They do a lot for clothing brands, especially people that are passionate about pushing their stuff and building their empires. They've done a few stuff with a lot of local brands, and yeah, I think that's an amazing outlet. So shout out Rerun.
And then shout out to you too. I mean, now that you're making me feel bad, but no, you've been an amazing support system for me, and put me on a lot of game, and being able to do pop-ups here has been amazing. So thank you
No,
very much.
no, you're welcome. Likewise, I'm very inspired by what you do. Rottweiler as well. Um, you know, you see a lot of people come and go, and you see a lot of people doing it, and I don't know necessarily that they understand the attitude of it, and I think you guys do, and that's why I'll continue to support you guys and hope that you guys make it. But I would say there's a company out there called 49th Supply. He was a customer, and he built an empire and surpassed me tenfold. And I know you're watching this, and I hate you. It's crazy, just some things work and whatever, but I'm definitely inspired by people that can make their dreams come true. I mean, we're all trying to make our dreams come true, I guess. We all have different dreams, but I think that's what's amazing about streetwear. You're taking something basic like a t-shirt and building a lifestyle, an attitude, like a world, an alternate universe.
The cool thing to me about it is I remember being young and either going in a skate shop or even going to the mall sometimes, and I remember I got straight A's or something, so I got this one shirt and I wore it for 2 years, or I got this one skateboard for my birthday, and it meant so much. And it's so cool to see now. I've been in the rerun a couple times where it's I just see someone come in and they buy my shirt, and it's they have no idea who I am. I thank them at the end, but it's it's cool to see that, but then it's also cool to see kids message me on Instagram, oh, I'm gonna wear this for a school picture, or I wore this and someone recognized me in it, or it's and I just know what that means to people,
And I think that's super dope. I would tell you to try to always hold on to that, not to forget how much of a compliment that is. So we're back on real quick. Batteries are dying like crazy. It's almost probably looks like the beach at Normandy for batteries. It's pretty crazy. But just want to say goodbye to everyone. Thank you so much, Liam, for coming through.
Thank you for having me.
I definitely hope everyone takes a moment to take a look at what Unidentified does, and if you're feeling it, cop a piece. You'll appreciate it. He puts in a lot of hard work. You'll know it when you get it. And again, thank you so much. Thank you everyone out there for watching, listening. This has been a long one. I hope you're still alive. I'm sure you.
Should we have them comment something if they made it to the end?
Yeah, if you made it to the end, comment I'm a survivor, and then maybe what we'll do is one of the people out of whoever survives, I'm gonna send you something.
And I'll add to that.
Yeah, so we'll send a prize to anyone still alive. Cool. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. Conversations Hotel Charlie. Subscribe, all that stuff.
And then if you want to hear the part 2, you can just come down
come
here
by
on
Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah. Cool, man. Thank you so much.